Excellency Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o is pleased to announce to all property owners 100% waiver on all outstanding interest and penalties on land rates valid from 24th April to 31st May 2020 to cushion them from the effect of coronavirus pandemic.
Rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
This week on Lit 360.
Breakups hurt, guys, whether it's a relationship or your favorite band. So when MOG broke up, we were definitely reeling. But Boss has definitely stepped up and we had to hang with them.
Kaboom. Mambo vipi, ni Boss. M to the O to the Jizzy.
Ongeza kilo, jukani heavy mindo pedi. Matanga ikolini mse beats imededi.
I once was given the title of the king of freestyle rap. Road it for a minute, then I just had more people become kings. So I think I'm an emperor now.
What do you see on the horizon? They say how you start your decade will determine how the rest of it will be. Imagine a decade full of opportunities, investment being one of them. Do you want a place to feed your mind, body and soul? A place to unwind every day, where you can get your health and fitness goals attained? A secure place for your family? A center for quality academic goals for your kids? Or perhaps a place to connect with your friends? Well, you can get all this and more at Amani Ridge, the place of peace, just 20 kilometers from the CBD. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari. The Governor of Kisumu, His Excellency Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, is pleased to announce to all property owners 100% waiver on all outstanding interest and penalties on land rates valid from 24th April to 31st May 2020 to cushion them from the effect of coronavirus pandemic. Payments should be made to Kisumu County Revenue account details on your screen and deposit slips to be presented to the respective sub-county revenue offices for database update. Any unpaid rates after the waiver shall attract reinstatement of the whole amount owed. County Government of Kisumu, Harbour of Prosperity.
Are you worried? Do you need somebody to talk to? Do you need counseling support? 1199 for free counseling or any necessary referral and linkage for psychosocial support. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and the Kenya Red Cross.
The Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services under the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection calls on all workers to stay safe and adhere to the following basic safety and health at work measures. Observe social distancing. Clean hands frequently with soap and clean water or alcohol-based sanitizers. Wear personal protective equipment like gloves if you are in a frontline job as directed by your employer. Clean and disinfect workplaces. Cover nose and mouth when coughing and sneezing with tissue or flexed elbow. Wear masks at all workplaces and all other public places. Stay at home. Follow all directives by the government. Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services, your trusted partner in ensuring healthy workers in a safe work environment.
This is NTV.
There have been 139 confirmed new infections in the last 5 days alone, more than what the country registered in the first 3 weeks of existence in the country. But it is the spike of new infections in the last 24 hours that is raising eyebrows. And now authorities are warning that the curve will continue rising before it flattens. As we approach a very likely national peak, 3 zones in the country's 2 largest cities are emerging as virus hotspots with rapidly multiplying double digits. Nairobi's Eastleigh Estate is now a cause of concern as the single geographical zone with the highest number of cases in the entire nation. The measures to contain the spread have been swift and have served with a firm hand. And while some have yielded desirable results, the government is warning of severer measures in the next few days. But how do you balance between curtailing of civil liberties for a good cause and denying the very civilians the opportunity to fend for their households? It is the 5th of May. Thanks for joining us on NTV tonight. Now, these are the global numbers. 3,688,107 people have been infected and 255,174 have died. In Africa, there are now 49,210 infections and the virus has killed 1,855. And in the US, 1,218,968 people have been infected and over 70,000 people have died. To Kenya's numbers in a moment, but first, the headlines.
Tonight, record numbers of new infections in 24 hours as caseload surpasses the 500 mark.
Our cumulative figure of those who have tested positive to the COVID-19 stands at 535 people.
Exponential rise in transmissions in less than 2 months, and the peak is not even here yet.
The COVID-19 virus is going to stay with us. It's not going to disappear.
Also tonight, Ministry of Health refutes claims of questionable expenditure of COVID-19 response funds. PS Susan Mochache shows up before Parliament with a new tabulation of expenditure. Plus,
I will stay firm, and if the worst come to the worst, I will go back to my people and we will make a decision.
Fire-spitting Narok senator shoots back in ODM's internal fight for control of powerful Public Accounts Committee. And what happened to the cargo aircraft that left 2 Kenyans dead?
Tunaomba bodi yake na wenzake iletwe Kenya tuwahi kuwazika.
Somalia terms it an unfortunate plane crash, but Kenya wants answers.
Flora Atieno joins us in sign language interpretation tonight. Now, Kenya has surpassed the 500 mark in COVID-19 cases. A single day's high of 45 new infections have been confirmed in the last 24 hours, raising the total virus caseload to 535. Nairobi has 29 of the 45 new cases, while Mombasa has 11. Wajir has recorded 5 new cases involving Kenyans who traveled to Somalia. Community infections is now still the highest contributor to the rise in numbers, with Nairobi's Eastleigh and Kawangware estates and Old Town in Mombasa now the country's hotspots. 9 more people recovered and have been discharged in the last 24 hours, raising the recoveries tally to 182. Well, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe now says that old bad habits are slowly creeping back, enabling the rapid spread of the virus. Kagwe is warning that severer measures are not too difficult to contemplate as Leila Mohammed now reports.
For the fourth day running, samples tested by the Ministry of Health have returned alarming results, pointing to the extent of infections in the country. Tuesday's 45 positive cases out of 1,077 samples tested is the highest number to be recorded in 24 hours.
Out of this number, 29 are from Nairobi. 11 are from Mombasa, while 5 are from Wajir, and 1 is a foreign national from Somali.
Even with community transmissions taking center stage, exported cases are still a thorn in the flesh of the country, and many are now questioning the government's reluctance to close borders with high-risk countries. Alarmingly, Nairobi's Eastleigh estate hosts all the 29 latest cases in the capital. The estate, alongside Kawangware and Mombasa's Old Town, are now areas of focus.
This tells us that in those areas, in the area of Kawangware, in the area of Eastleigh, in the area of Old Town Mombasa, that we need to take action in those particular areas.
The lack of discipline and failure to follow the set guidelines of social distancing and basic hygiene measures to keep the virus away is basically aiding this coronavirus to seep into the communities even further, something that now the ministry says is a matter of serious worry. The government says it may opt to close down the recently opened restaurants and eateries if Kenyans continue cheating the system.
People have been going to pubs or to eateries. They order 1 sausage with 2 beers. They eat that 1 sausage. Anakula hiyo sausage moja na bia mbili. Anatoka hapo, anaingia hoteli ingine. Huko anakula bia mbili ingine na sausage ingine moja. Anaingia ingine, anauliza chungwa. Hadi sasa ni dessert. Na ingine mbili. Now, my friends, kusema kweli sasa hiyo ni, what are you doing?
And with concerns of expensive isolation facilities at an individual's cost, the government says that it is not ruling out home-based quarantine, but with strict guidelines.
We must do what we call a social mapping to see where you are coming from, what kind of house do you live in, how many people live with you, and is it feasible?
Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Well, as you heard, the country's hotspots have been identified as Nairobi and Mombasa. Let's now zoom into these cities and map out the infections. Now, here you go. In Nairobi, Eastleigh over here, that is where Nairobi is, which has the highest number of cases in the entire country, is a major concern. 63 people have been tested positive for the coronavirus in this one area. And today, all of Nairobi's new patients were from Eastleigh. All right, now another hotspot. Here you go. This is Mombasa. And, I beg your pardon, still in Nairobi, Kawangware has also been named a hotspot where a total of 24 cases have been recorded. And to the coast area now, here is Mombasa, where numbers are on the rise. This is in Old Town in particular, where there are now 39 people who are infected with the coronavirus. But as authorities sound the alarm over the rapid surge in new infections, especially at community level, public health experts and epidemiologists are warning that the extent of penetration of the virus is likely higher. The experts say that upward trajectory is likely to continue increasing organically as the pandemic undergoes its natural course. Well, Zainab Ismail has been speaking to an epidemiologist who says that the curve can only go higher from here before Kenya then plateaus and finally flattens the curve.
The steady rise in infections in the country has been proportionate to increased and targeted testing, and the result is an alarming rate of community infections. In the first week, between 13th and 15th of March, there were only 3 confirmed cases. That number continued to increase through the following weeks, hitting a high of 100 confirmed cases on the 4th week. The number then decreased by half on the 5th week, but has since been increasing significantly. But it is the confirmation of 70 cases in just 2 days of the 9th week that is now becoming a cause for alarm. Public health experts say this is likely to rise further.
The COVID-19 virus is going to stay with us. It's not going to disappear. So that means that the natural cause of that outbreak or pandemic will occur in any country. We'll have people getting infected up to some point when there's an equilibrium where we'll find that there are fewer people who are susceptible compared to those who have some level of immunity because they have been infected. Of course, if we had a vaccine, then that we could reduce that curve significantly.
Most countries reached their peak and plateaued at between 45 to 55 days. But with the organic progression and spread of the virus, experts say reaching the peak and flattening the curve in Kenya will take slightly longer.
Even as many as half of the persons infected with the virus are symptomatic. Asymptomatic meaning they don't have any symptoms. The numbers which we are seeing probably represents a fraction of the total numbers of those who have been infected. It will require some further testing. For example, if we go to a community and test for antibodies, and it will help us determine what proportion of people have been infected.
Experts are warning that the number being reported across the globe might not reflect the actual penetration of infections, as it is only pegged on the testing capacity of any individual country. And while social distancing remains the number one preventive measure, it still cannot yield maximum results going by the rate spread of infections.
Once we get to a point where there are more people who have had the infection and have some level of immunity, then the rate of infections will slow down through that natural process.
Earlier in April, the World Health Organization had predicted a peak in the number of infections in most African countries at this time, which means the country is now at its most critical stage in containing the spread of the virus. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
Well, the Ministry of Health now claims that the questionable expenditure of millions of shillings from the COVID-19 response fund on non-essential items is not a true reflection of the state of affairs. Principal Secretary Susan Mochache says that funds set aside for the COVID-19 had been spent prudently and that much of the funds it is accused of misappropriating was still unspent. NTV's Silas Apollo reports.
We can defend the ministry.
Health Principal Secretary Susan Mochache says that the 1.3 billion shillings meant for the COVID-19 response is still intact, despite reports that exorbitant amounts were spent on non-essential items. Mochache, who appeared before the National Assembly's Health Committee, claims that much of the questionable expenditure was never incurred. Mochache says the documentation from the ministry indicates that the funds have only been spent on the purchase of protective equipment for healthcare workers, hiring of more staff, as well as the leasing of ambulances. On stationery, the ministry says it is yet to spend the 6.5 million shillings it had set aside for that purpose. Another 9 million shillings set aside for printing is yet to be spent, and the 3 million shillings allocated to the purchase of airtime is still lying idle, according to Mochache. The other expenditure is for communication, whose budget stands at 70 million shillings and which is still unspent, as well as another 4 million shillings allocated to hospitality, according to the PS. The PS told the committee that the expenditure incurred from the COVID kit so far is the 10 million shillings sent to Kenyan students in the Chinese city of Wuhan, another 75 million shillings for defense preparedness, 10 million shillings to the National Youth Service for provision of security in quarantine facilities, and another 150 million shillings to the Kenyatta National Hospital and the Vidyarthi Hospital. Mochache says that some 5 million shillings have also been spent on community outreach and media engagements, and another 1.5 million shillings on public works. But the ministry's response is not in itself satisfactory, bearing in mind that the tabulation of questionable expenditure was presented to the parliamentary committee by the very ministry. One therefore wonders how the numbers have changed. Mochache says the questionable figures do not exist and were only a creation of the media.
Why would you, when you have such a competent ministry, say that you spent 4 million on tea?
The ministry is accused of spending close to 4 million shillings on tea and other millions on stationery and printing services, when a number of Kenyans are still unable to access funds set aside for the vulnerable during the pandemic. But the government insists that everything is under control and that the monies will be accounted for. Silas Apollo, NTV.
So those were public health officers in Mombasa County are now warning residents that they will invoke the Public Health Act and conduct forceful testing if residents of the second most affected county continue to resist the targeted testing exercise. The Ministry of Health says that more than 150 people have contracted the virus in Mombasa County as health authorities rush to flatten the curve despite the defiance from some of the residents who have refused to be tested. Kevin Mutai with those details.
11 are from Mombasa.
All the 11 COVID-19 cases confirmed in Mombasa Tuesday were picked from the ongoing mass targeted testing from various parts within the county. According to health officials, 8 of the positive cases are from Old Town, 2 from Kisauni, and 1 of the patients has been identified as a truck driver from Uganda. The ongoing public surveillance has, however, been hindered by various challenges. In Kibokoni area, health officers are reportedly being greeted by resistance to testing from residents.
We are in the process today of consultation with the respective authorities in those counties so that we can determine what action we are going to take.
In Likoni, authorities are focusing on tracking ferry users after a total of 13 people tested positive for the virus. More than 200 residents of Likoni have been tested Tuesday.
That tells you then that there is community spread.
Public health officers, however, maintain that if residents continue boycotting mass testing, then they will exercise Section 21 of the Public Health Act, which says that a medical officer may at any time enter and inspect any premises in which he or she has reason to believe that any person suffering or who has recently suffered from any infectious disease, and may medically examine any person in such premises for the purpose of ascertaining whether such person is suffering or has recently suffered from any such disease. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
All right, in a bit, we will turn our attention to the county of Wajir, where 5 new cases have been recorded. But for now, let's just move away for a moment. And Narok Senator Ledama Olekina is now daring ODM leader Raila Odinga to eject him from his newly elected position of chairman of the County Public Accounts and Investments Committee. Ledama says he won the position fairly and would not be cowed into dropping the position. Our political and parliamentary affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi reports that the clamour for the powerful seat has now turned political.
The election of Narok Senator Ledama Olekina as the chairperson of the Senate Powerful Oversight Committee of County Public Accounts and Investments Committee has now turned political. The first-time senator is now threatening to shift his political base if the party that sponsored him to parliament, that is the ODM, moves ahead and instigates his ouster.
I've supported Raila Amolo Odinga because I believe that he's a social democrat. I believe that he's a person who stands for the truth. This will be a test of time, okay? This will be a test of time because the Maasai nation whom I represent voted to the man for ODM. So I will stay firm, and if the worst come to the worst, I will go back to my people and we will make a decision.
Ledama holds that he would not bend low to conform to demands by the ODM by relinquishing the position in favor of Kisii Senator Professor Sam Ongeri, who was the party's collective choice.
This is our time. And you know, leadership is not given, it is taken. So tuko naye, nimeshikilia Mureithi, na kuachilia, my friend, melelek. It is not easy.
Being a sessional committee, political parties at the start of a new calendar year nominate who sits in the committee, and at times when it is difficult to agree, vote on the membership. This time, the minority side voted, and Ledama alongside Kisii Senator Sam Ongeri, Migori Senator Ochilo Ayako, and Taita Taveta Senator Jones Mwaruma got the opportunity to serve in the powerful committee. At the committee, Jubilee and NASA senators settled on Ledama after Ochilo stepped down from the race.
Immediately after I was declared the winner, Senator Ongeri congratulated me. Okay? He agreed that in any contest there is a winner and there is a loser.
After it became apparent that Ledama was not playing ball and stepping down, the party withdrew all its members from the committee via a letter written by the minority leader, Siaya Senator James Orengo. Raila Odinga, through spokesperson Dennis Onyango, notes that Ledama went against the deal brokered that would have seen Ongeri become chair, and Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata deputize him. The statement says, and I quote, Olekina is already a member of 2 other Senate committees and was destined to replace Malala as deputy minority leader, but he wants all positions, hence the decision by ODM to disown him.
Unless they had a candidate in mind who, once they put him chair, he can be able to sanitize all those corruptions and all those auditor reports which we've written, which Kajwang, with the leadership of Kajwang, we had some reports which even have not been tabled. We actually have reports of some counties where the governor is actually not fit to sit in office. So I think maybe from the minority side, because that governor is a supporter of that side, maybe they wanted someone who will be able to sanitize all that. According to Ledama, the continued stalemate in the committee is giving governors a free hand at spending without Big Brother watching. Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
Kenya and Somali governments have launched investigations into the crash of a light Kenyan cargo aircraft, which was allegedly shot down in Bardere area of Somalia on Monday. It's alleged that the masterminds of the incident used a rocket-propelled grenade to shoot down the Kenyan-registered aircraft, killing all the occupants on board, among them 2 Kenyan pilots and 4 Somali nationals. Kevin Mutai with more details.
Kenya Civil Aviation Authority officials have been in constant communication with their counterparts in Somalia to unravel the mystery surrounding a plane crash involving a Kenyan-registered aircraft. KCAA confirms that the plane operated by African Express crashed in Bardere, Somalia on Monday as it approached the airport. The aircraft departed by Doha for Bardale, where it landed at 4 p.m. Aviation authorities further revealed that they lost the plane on their radar few minutes after it took off again, Bardare bound. The plane is said to have been allegedly brought down by a rocket-propelled grenade, killing all 6 aboard. Kenya's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said it was shocked and regretted the crash incident, which it says occurred under unclear circumstances. The ministry explained that the plane was supporting COVID-19 humanitarian operations. The ministry later confirmed that Somali President Mohamed Farmajo had reached out to President Uhuru Kenyatta through a phone call. Mogadishu expressed their regret while at the same time conveying condolences for the loss of life and property. The call was confirmed by the Somalia Ministry of Foreign Affairs via Twitter. The 2 pilots who perished in the crash are Kenyan nationals, identified as Mabruk Islam and Omar Chiragdin.
Nimepata uchungu sana kupata habari kama hiyo. Sisi Waislamu tunasema inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. Inshallah Mwenyezi Mungu atamweka Jannah Paradise inshallah.
Mabruk's father also confirmed to NTV that his son was on a mission to deliver humanitarian aid and medical supplies in Somalia for use in the fight against COVID-19.
Kila siku anazungumza mimi anauliza hali nini, na kila nikimwambia rudi ananiambia bado kidogo. Na kwa mwisho akanambia iko tamaa itarudi ndege, lakini wenyewe mpaka sasa wanasema bado. Walibeba dawa kupeleka Baidoa kuwasaidia wagonjwa huko, kisha wakaenda kuna town nyingine inaitwa Baio huko Baidoa, huko ndio alipigwa hiyo rocket.
Kama huu ni msiba mkubwa umetupata tu Mombasa, lazima chanzo hichi kijulikane. kilitokea kinamna gani na wamekufa kivipi na wameuliwa kivipi.
Somalia has assured Kenya that it would mount investigations into the crash and has invited Kenyan aviation authorities to work with their counterparts.
Na inshallah tunaomba bodi yake na wenzake iletwe Kenya tuwahi kuwazika. Maki habari iliyopata bodi zimetoka, ndege ikashika moto.
Somalia and Kenya are embroiled in diplomatic disputes involving an international maritime border and another involving an alleged fugitive Jubaland minister hiding in Kenya. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
At this point, we've got to take a break on NTV tonight. Do stay with us. Plenty more when we return.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach. And use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, Jig, and Harpic.
Birthday party. Birthday party. Birthday party.
Are we not invited?
We have gifts.
Malaria.
Mommy, pests.
Run.
Oh, die.
Party.
Compared to an ordinary spray, Mortein Doom Power Guard kills disease-causing pests instantly. Mortein Doom Power Guard.
Welcome home to Amani Ridge, the place of peace. Your own urban sanctuary. A lifestyle waiting for you just 20 kilometers from the CBD. A place to unwind and get your health and fitness goals attained. A secure place for your family. A place for your children to have fun. A place to enjoy a sundowner. Success just doesn't happen. You have to make it happen. Make the impossible possible. Invest in Amani Ridge, the place of peace. Luxury you can afford. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Dettol's main objective is to help children protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold?
No!
They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap that gives the best germ protection ever against many illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
Welcome back. The government says at least 164 people have died due to floods and heavy downpours in the country. The latest confirmed death is a Boda Boda rider who perished while attempting to cross a bridge in Eldoret. Gina Kirori is on our flood watch tonight.
More than 150 families have been displaced in Mosocho area of Kisii County after heavy downpour left homes and business premises drenched in flood waters. Residents have been left pondering their next move without a place to spend the night.
Sasa mahindi yote iko hapo ndani. Unga ya uchi iko hapo ndani, hata sahani hata sufuria sina. Hasa tunakaa hapa kwa mavaranda tu ndio tunaishi, hatuna chochote.
In Eldoret, one person has died in Targo area. The boda rider was crossing the Sosiani Bridge when he was swept away by the floods. Pioneer Bridge within the area has also been crushed by raging floods.
Wakulima ambao wanatoka sehemu hii wakielekea wakifuga ngambo hii wamekuwa na shida kubwa. Hii daraja ina connect county tatu: Uasin Gishu, Kakamega na Nandi. Kuna wakulima ambao wanatoka pande wa Nandi wanaleta maziwa yao kuja pande ya Kakamega. So wamekuwa na wakati mgumu sana.
In Baringo County, the increasing water levels in Lake Baringo have left over 10,000 people displaced and property within a 200 hectares radius destroyed, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. The affected residents say they are in dire need of medical and food supplies. In Chesogon area of Elgeyo Marakwet County, families displaced by floods are raising concerns over the lack of clean water and food supplies, as well as the biting cold, since most of them are camping at Cheptulel Primary School. Powerful floods killed 18 people in the area late last month, while 17 are still missing. Chesogon Market, which is the main trading center that attracts more than 10,000 traders in a day, now remains deserted. The government says scores have been killed by the floods and over 100,000 households displaced.
Pale daraja zimeharibiwa, tunataka tuhakikishe wizara inayohusika ya barabara tayari. Osieko tumeona timu iko on the ground tayari wako wanashughulikia hiyo daraja. Tumekuwa Kisumu juzi, daraja iliyokuwa imekatika tayari as we speak imerekebishwa, na hata maeneo ya Shibale tutaenda huko, hata upande wa Tongaren tunaelekea huko kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunafanya marekebisho ya haraka.
Gena Kirori, NTV.
Now, as the country battles the coronavirus, governors want the national government to revoke the monopoly enjoyed by the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA. The governors say that the restrictions which limit county purchases only to KEMSA was affecting the delivery of healthcare in the devolved units. Council of Governors Health Committee Chairman, that's Mohammed Kuti, and the Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua argue that lifting the restriction will also allow competitive bids at the county level. They spoke during an online meeting with the Senate Committee of Health.
KEMSA, as far as I'm concerned, does not have the capacity really to supply all the medicines and all the equipment that are needed to provide healthcare in this country of ours. It's a monopoly that is dangerous. When they are delayed, medicines are delayed, it can even lead to the death of people.
There was a law that was passed that there will even be some penalties for purchasing outside. I think governors did not go down well, and that became one of the major issues that delayed the rollout.
Now, the autopsy report of a 36-year-old banker who was found burnt in his car in Nairobi's Buruburu estate indicates that Terence Korir died by choking on smoke. Ruth Samway has more.
Tens of people were present at the Chiromo mortuary, eagerly waiting the autopsy results of 36-year-old Terence Korir. Korir's body was found on the driver's seat of his car, which was parked in a Buruburu estate in Nairobi. Government pathologist Johansen Odor says the deceased died in the fire, ruling out allegations from the public that Korir might have been killed before being placed in the car as a cover-up.
There was a lot of soot in the airway, from the tongue to the lungs. There was a lot of soot. This shows us that this person died actually in the fire. This is not a person who was planted dead in the fire. He was alive when it was burning.
The pathologist report also indicates that other organs of the body were intact and in good shape. It is, however, unclear what exactly caused the early morning blaze that left the interior of the car charred.
But the circumstance is what we cannot be able to tell. What caused the fire also we cannot be able to tell. We have other specialists who are trying to investigate those parts I've talked about. We have fire people, we have government chemists, they are going to do investigations. We also have DCI who are going to also do investigation on the circumstance under which he died.
Korir has left behind 2 children and a widow. Further investigation probing the circumstances surrounding his death are ongoing. Ruth Sarmoi, NTV.
All right, let's take you back to the number of people affected by the coronavirus. And the number of cases in Wajir County have now risen to 7 after 5 more cases were reported in the northeastern county. The 5 have a recent history of traveling to neighboring Somalia, which has recorded over 600 cases. Authorities are now calling on the government to institute strict border control measures or close the border entirely, as Nordin Elmoge reports.
Kenya's porous borders with neighboring Somalia is now emerging as a gateway for transmission of new infections of the coronavirus. All 5 cases reported in Wajir County today have recently traveled to Somalia. Public health officials here are now worried about relatives hiding their returning family members and risking the lives of many.
Wananchi kuvolunteer information hiyo tu hata kwa hii town and in all the 8 sub-counties within the county. Wewe ukikubali mtu in the name of CG ati mfanya biashara ya ng'ombe alikuwa ameenda Somalia na ya ngamia na anakuja kukaa kwako, hiyo ni kama tu wewe umesign some kind of death warrant. Expose that person, expose that visitor, let him be picked by the health team, let him be tested, let him be quarantined so that he does not mix with the rest of the innocent people.
It is this challenge that led to the isolation of a family in this county for harboring a returnee without following the due procedure.
Na mwenye hiyo nyumba alificha hawa. Na hiyo mama ako na watoto 15 pamoja na husband yake inakuwa watu 16. Na yeah, they are 25 in number. Kwa hivyo sasa wale wote sasa lazima waangaliwe, wawekwe wote kwa karantini kwa sababu hatujui kama pia wameshapata hiyo ugonjwa. Sasa mbona mtu anaficha hawa? Hawa watu hawezi kwenda kwa cell, wanawekwa tu karantini mahali fulani, mahali mzuri, iko na maji, iko na choo, kila kitu.
Now the county government is calling for action with regard to the border.
The long porous border with Somalia is now the new front of infections in our country. Since our people are mostly livestock herders and traders who crisscross the border more often, thereby necessitating heightened surveillance on the border towns.
Virus infections is overwhelming the war-torn Horn of Africa nation of Somalia. Some Somali nationals are reportedly fleeing to Kenya to seek medical attention. Nordin Elmoge, NTV, Wajir County.
Well, with 45 new confirmed cases in one day, the antennas are up and the battle to flatten the curve is beginning to falter. Security sources now say it's just a matter of time before new stricter measures, including locking down hotspots in Nairobi and Mombasa, are introduced. In your Daily Nation tomorrow, find out what the sudden spike in numbers means and why Kenyans are keeping away from their mass testing booths and avoiding them. Also, read about Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Magoha's ambitious plan to recover lost school time and ensure exams start in October. Don't miss your copy. We're taking a break. I will be back shortly with the day's business news.
Malaria!
That's why you need the superior protection of Mortein 360-degree reach. Only this has 11 vents which enable it to reach the farthest corners. Mortein, total indoor protection.
Nyaja wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between. Rub nails on palms. Rub the back of each hand. Rinse with clean running water and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
John suffers from indigestion. His twin James suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Na nikirudi uko umemaliza. Can you tell Kinyanjui to come to my office? Clean up! Kinyanjui, this is a problem, eh? Next time, uende ununue selector yako, utengeneze sandwich zako, uachane na sandwich za boss.
Selector. The difference is in the taste. And now, Selector comes with free Zesta jam for a limited period of time.
Welcome to the conferencing service.
Emma! Carry on, Ken.
First quarter sales, they're up 90%.
Very good. Very good.
We are looking at a 55 billion shilling profit by the end of the financial year.
Now we are talking. Here we talk billions. Very good. I gotta go. Wacha niendelee na kazi.
A person has left the conference.
Niko nyumbani. Downloads are very fast. Streaming, eco. And I'm just working from here. Stay connected and work from the convenience of wherever you are. Fiber to the home.
Working from home? No problem. Fiber Home has you covered with the fastest and most reliable internet speeds. Get connected today. Kazi lazima iendelee.
Melissa?
Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I'm giving him a party just like he gives me.
Nothing makes a mother more proud than seeing her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to care for others, she'll face even more germs and the risk of illnesses.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection. Just 1 cup of Dettol protects your home and family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
NTV Business News in association with KCB Internet Banking.
Welcome back. The Finance Bill of 2020, published on April 30th by the National Treasury, is set for the first reading in the National Assembly on Wednesday this week. The tabling of the Finance Bill before the budget speech this year is a stark departure from the past, when the bill was typically tabled within 90 days after the budget speech. The bill comes against the backdrop of a comprehensive tax laws amendment bill signed into law by President Uhuru Kenyatta last month. In the National Assembly's order business, members of Parliament will also be engaging in the second reading of the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill of 2020. The public has until the 13th of May to submit comments on the proposed amendments to Section 38 of the Retirement Benefits Act. The proposed amendment seeks to allow members of retirement benefit schemes to utilise a proportion of their accrued benefits in the purchase of a residential house. The Retirement Benefits Authority now invites comments on this proposal from the public before submission of the proposed amendments to the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary. Any comments from the public are to be forwarded to the authority through the email address housing@rba.go.ke. Now, in your copy of the Business Daily tomorrow, get the details of the plans by the proposed amendments to the retirement benefits regulations. Make sure you get your copy. That is what the front page looks like. Your Business Daily tomorrow. A section of tax consultants now say the planned move to rope the National Social Security Fund into the tax net is a step in the wrong direction. Analysts at audit firm Ernst & Young say the move is likely to have an adverse impact on the country's senior citizens at a time when most have been rendered vulnerable to the unfavourable economic environment.
We think is a wrong move in terms of introducing taxation on NSSF as an entity. Our senior citizens have been enjoying the pension exemption from taxation if you are 65 years and above. The government want now to basically start taxing that particular tax in terms of a person has actually retired and they are paying pension and they are 65 years and above. You start paying tax at that particular point. It's quite unfortunate.
Foreign investors pulled 11.2 billion shillings worth of investment out of the Nairobi Securities Exchange between January and March 2020. This has been revealed by the Capital Markets Authority through its soundness report covering the first quarter of 2020. This outflow of foreign investment has played a key role in the falling prices at the Nairobi Security Exchange, which has left investors counting losses. The report by the market regulator also reveals that the top 5 companies by market capitalization grew the proportion of the total market value to 74% in March 2020 from 73% in December 2019.
NTV Business News in association with KCB Internet Banking.
We can always talk about your account, online, whenever you like.
Register at your nearest branch for KCB Internet Banking today.
Now, every passing day of the coronavirus pandemic is eating into the 2020 school calendar. The government remains adamant that learners will recover lost time and that the end-year examinations will go on as planned. But how practical is this, given that some learners are covering the syllabus through digital aids, while a majority are lagging behind? Well, this week on Team Coverage Wednesday, we look at the looming calendar headache and the pleas of the candidates on classes in crisis. Have a look.
We have suspended learning.
The government has not decided to postpone the national examinations.
Tujamaliza syllabus hii.
Serikali yaharakisha tufungue hata kama ni kidato cha 4 kienda shuleni.
Itakuwa hatari kubwa kupeleka watoto shuleni tukihofia kwamba syllabus wako nyuma.
Leo tutasoma Kiswahili.
The children have continued with their calendar of education.
Sisi kama huko hivi Islamu huko hatuna kitu. Unaweza pata nyumba moja ndio kuna TV kwa plot.
Watoto sasa hata tutawafuatilia aje? Mtoto hajakunywa hata chai, hajakula hata chochote. Hata ukimwekea kitabu hapa ataona.
It's very easy to see the crisis in health compared to see the crisis in education.
Team Coverage Wednesday tomorrow. Set your reminders now, 9 p.m. Time for a break. More when we come back.
Leo nimekaa mkukukembesha Riang venye utastay safe mtaani, venye kamenuka na rada ni chafu. Riang ya kwanza mtu wangu, kunawa mikono. Hiyo ni sekunde palu, after umewada hapo, unatumia hiyo waba inatiririka. Namba mbekse ni social distancing. Lazima upige gedhugu, lazima mwili wako akue 1.5 meters kutoka kwako ama mita mbekse. Rule number 3, kama huwezi kutulia kejani, dunga mask. Jeshi, pamoja tukomeshe corona.
Have you shared your bongo points with someone who needs them? Remember to help a friend or anyone in need to buy food using your bongo points. Stay at home, but still stay together with your loved ones and friends using bongo points. Share your story or video of how you've helped a fellow Kenyan to our FB page NTV Kenya, Twitter page at NTV Kenya, Instagram at NTV Kenya, SMS 20686 or our WhatsApp number 0745 925 002.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. Panadol Extra, now with new Optizorb technology to fight multiple tough pains with 3 times more pain-relieving medicine in the first 30 minutes when you need it most. Seeing them support themselves makes any pain worth it.
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
Have a look at the international scene now, and hundreds of South African health workers were given a century-old tuberculosis vaccine on Monday in a trial to see whether the venerable formula can protect against coronavirus. Devised at France's legendary Pasteur Institute 100 years ago, the Bacillus calmette-guerin, that's the BCG vaccine, is one of the world's oldest and most trusted immunizations. Trials started in Cape Town, where BCG booster shots were administered to 250 healthcare workers, while another 250 received a dummy formula. Now, the plan is to ramp up the trials to up to 3,000 healthcare workers in Cape Town. Participants will be observed for at least a year, and similar BCG clinical trials are being conducted in the Netherlands, Australia, and France. Africa's biggest city, Lagos, got back to work on Monday at the end of a 5-week lockdown. In the metropolis of 20 million, where exuberance and poverty live side by side, relief at being able to earn money once again was almost palpable, despite Nigeria's mounting COVID-19 toll. All shops seemed to be open, car parks full, and hawkers pitched their wares before buyers. Minibus stations were busy, although touts did wear masks. And Nigeria follows South Africa, which returned to work on Friday. Rwanda partially ended a strict 6-week-long lockdown on Monday. Elsewhere, Chinese state media reported the successful launch of a new rocket today, a major test of its ambitions to operate a permanent space station to send astronauts to the moon. The large carrier rocket Long March 5B took off from the Wenchang launch site in the southern island of Hainan, and a prototype spacecraft with no crew separated and entered its planned orbit. The Long March 5B is a 10-engine rocket, including 4 strapped-on boosters that increase its lift capabilities and represents the nation's most powerful launch vehicle to date. Brian Otwell has the sports news coming up on the other side of this break.
Change your baby's diaper often and as soon as possible after bowel movements. Gently clean the area with mild soap and water or baby wipes. Have a clean diaper. Use diaper ointment to prevent diaper burn, diaper wipes or a container of warm water and a clean washcloth or cotton balls.
Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
What do you see on the horizon? They say how you start your decade will determine how the rest of it will be. Imagine a decade full of opportunities, investment being one of them. Do you want a place to feed your mind, body and soul? A place to unwind every day, where you can get your health and fitness goals attained? A secure place for your family? A center for quality academic goals for your kids? Or perhaps a place to connect with your friends? Well, you can get all this and more at Amani Ridge, the place of peace, just 20 kilometers from the CBD. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Let's have a look at the day's sports news. Welcome, my name is Brian Otwal. With football suspended locally and internationally, players from grassroots club Ngando Youth Sports Association, that is NISA FC, took time to support the fight against coronavirus by fumigating the area of Ngando in Dagoretti in Nairobi. The players whose team participates in the Extreme Sports Division 1 League, playing under the Nairobi West Side Zone, traded their jerseys for the personal protective gears PPE, fumigating shopping stalls and informal settlements in the area. Coronavirus has affected sports in the country, with all sports events suspended in a bid to adhere to the health guidelines issued by the government. The fumigation process began on Saturday in the area, and there have been 139 confirmed new infections in the last 5 days alone, with 535 people confirmed to be positive so far.
None of the players hapa wanalipwa. Hii story tumejitolea. Tunaanza hii process from 7 to around 10:30.
Kulingana na venye numbers zina rise, na ukiona jirani yetu hapa Kawangware kumekuwa na a lot of cases, so it's a worrying trend, na tunahitaji sisi kama wanangando na wale tuna majirani tuna believe tuko at safe place, so lazima tufanye fumigation juu hizi area zetu kiangalia ni mazingira wale watu wanashare vitu mingi sana.
And a number of Premier League club doctors have raised a range of concerns with league bosses over plans to resume the season. One issue that the senior medics have sought assurances over includes their own liability and insurance cover if players contract the virus. The Premier League has also been asked to provide some clarity over the medical protocols, testing and player welfare. The Premier League is hopeful of a potential June 8th resumption, and the 20 club doctors have been holding their own discussions about the project restart, the label given to the plans to resume action with a view to feeding their thoughts into the Premier League's leadership. Meanwhile, Professional Football Association are considering games played in halves of less than 45 minutes when football resumes.
Fernandes, who orchestrates another set piece and flicks it for Martial!
We all missed that commentary right there. Moving on, Welsh international Aaron Ramsey was the first Juventus player to return to individual training at the team's sports centre in Turin as Cristiano Ronaldo began 2 weeks quarantine after returning to Italy. Ronaldo flew back to Italy last evening after almost 2 months in coronavirus lockdown in his native Portugal. The five-time Ballon d'Or winner arrived by private jet from the Portuguese island of Madeira and will spend 2 weeks in quarantine. Juventus have recalled their 10 overseas players as Serie A clubs were given the green light to return to individual training on Monday. Juventus are leading Serie A 1 point ahead of Lazio as they target a 9th consecutive Scudetto. And in Portugal, players at Portuguese clubs, including Benfica and Porto, returned to individual training on Monday as the Primeira Liga prepares for a possible restart of the season during the coronavirus pandemic. Portugal's top flight has been shut down since mid-March, but the country's Prime Minister Antonio Costa said last week that the Primeira Liga and the Portuguese Cup final were the only exceptions to a ruling that has kept all other professional sports suspended. Porto led reigning champions Benfica by 1 point when the season was suspended with 10 matches remaining. France Ligue 1 was the most high-profile league season to be ended due to the COVID-19 outbreak, while the Netherlands also opted to scrap the rest of its Eredivisie campaign. But like Portugal, teams in Italy, Germany, Spain and England are preparing for a potential return to action. And the Tour de France will take place at the end of August, with the Giro d'Italia and Vuelta a España overlapping each other during the month of October. The 3 Grand Tour races are part of a packed schedule across 3 months, running from 1st August to 31st of October. But the Tour de France was cast into doubt after the French government's admission it was not sure the country would be ready. The race was delayed from 27 June because of the coronavirus crisis, and the season is set to begin with the Strade Bianchi one-day classic in Italy and on 1st of August and end with the Vuelta on 8th November. The Giro d'Italia runs from 3rd to 25th of October and the Vuelta from 20th October to 8th of November, seeing 2 of the biggest races of the season run concurrently.
L'an dernier, un Tour d'Italie dont il avait longtemps été...
Il faudra vraiment du grand Romain Bardet pour qu'il parvienne à garder sa roue. Parce qu'il
on reverra sans doute sur le Tour de France. Quelle étape, quelle victoire de Simon Yates, 3 jours après Bagnères de Bigorre.
On that note, we end our sports. We play again tomorrow. Have a lovely night. My name is Brian Otwal.
It is 10 o'clock and that's it on NTV tonight. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks to Flora Atiano, our sign language interpreter. Do be sure to join us tomorrow at 9 p.m. as we bring you Team Coverage Wednesday. We will be looking at the crisis and the status of the education sector. Bye-bye.